In this video I'm going to go over lab exercise 3b. There's one that I think a lot of people found tricky, and that's fair enough. It's not the easiest of exercises, or at least there's a lot of thinking you have to do to get it around the right way. So in this question we're given the data format, so each element of this array is 16 bits, and we can see that we have the John, Paul, George and Ringo flags, then we have the Yoko flag, and then the M's represent the magic number, and then we have 3 X's which are reserved in this format. So each element of the array looks like this. Each element of the array has its own John, Paul, George and Ringo flag, and we are asked to load A1 and change its magic number from the M's to PGOY, PG1Y, where PG and Y represent the Paul, George and Yoko flags. So first things first, we want to load this. Let's chuck it in T0. Now remember, because it's half words I need to increment by 2, that'll get me A at position 1. So far so good. Now, what I would do first is I would extract I would zero out the magic numbers because we don't want them anymore. We don't need them. So how do we figure out how to do this? Well, you can see here I've laid this out so that I can get split up into hex values. So every line represents a separation of a hex value. And I need to put ones where I want to keep information. So that's going to be 1, 1, 1. So I want to keep all of them, and then I want to keep the Yoko flag, and I want to zero out the M's. Then I want to zero out all of these M's, and I want to zero that out and keep these X's. So now I've split them up into hex so that I can just read off the hex value. So on the right there, where I have this, that's a 1 in the 1s column, 1 in the 2s, and a 1 in the 4s. So this should be 7. So I'm going to AND this with the immediate value. I'm going to do T0, T0. So I want to clear out those values. And I'm going to do OX, and we'll figure out the hex value. So I said that the one on the right is 7. And that's fine. Now the M's are all 0 in the next bit, so that should just be a 0. And then I need to figure out what this number is. Well, that's a 1 in the 8s column and nothing else, so that should be 8. And then I have 4 1s in this column, so that should be an F. And this should keep all the information I'm interested in and get rid of everything else. So far so good. So now I want to extract the bits that I'm interested in. And now the bit that's tricky here is I'm interested in PGRY. I want to get rid of that R value, but this is the part of the text I'm interested in because it's going to make up this PGOY. So now that I've got this, I'll get rid of these values because I want to keep different values. So I want to keep P and G. I don't want to keep J, nor do I want to keep R. So I'm going to OR with that value. I do want to keep Y. I don't want to keep anything else. So I'm going to store this in a different register. So let's store it in T1 with T0. And I'm going to have to give it an immediate value. Now let's start with up here. So we've got a 1 in the 4s column and a 1 in the 2s column, so this should be 6. And then in the next I've still got 8 there, and then I've got 0, 0 in the others. So now this will get me PGOY. So it won't get me PG1Y, but it'll get me PGOY. Okay, so now I need to think about how I'm going to get the second PG1Y. So I'm going to have to shift this value down and then add 1 to it and then recombine it later on. So let's shift left, or shift right, logical, value that's in T1, so I'm going to move it down to fit in line. So it needs to go into these 4 registers here, and it's moving from these 4 positions here. So I want to shift it 4 positions down, so that it'll take up half of this magic word. So I'm going to shift right, what's in T1 with what's in T1, now shift it right by 4. This should get me this part of the magic word. So now I can just OR this with what's in T0. Actually, I should probably store this in V0 because that's where it wants me to finish off. So OR T0 with T1, and that should get me this part here. Should go into these 4 registers here. Or sorry, that's 5. These 4 registers or values here should be overwritten with the PGOY flag. So that's me halfway done. Now I just need to get this PG1Y and put it in the next 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift right logical, and again I'm just going to shift it down 4 place values so that it goes into the correct place value. So that'll get me down to these 4 here. So I'll shift right line down again, and then I'll do an OR again. And that should be, actually it should be V naught there. And that should get me the PG, but it'll look like this at the moment because we haven't added that 1. So we need to add that 1 in, and then we'll be sorted. So that 1 is going to have to go in here. So I need to figure out what that value is going to be. So it'll be 1 there. Don't care about the rest of this. I just want to set that bit there. And when I want to set a value, I use an OR. So I'm going to OR immediate V naught, what's in V naught, and this should be a value of, oh, that should be a 0, and so I should have 0, 0, 1, 0. This will be OX 0, 0, 1, 0. Now hopefully that'll be me done. Let's assemble it and run it. Well, actually let's uncomment the tests, assemble and run. And there we go, 5 out of 5. So this is how you tackle 3b. I hope this made it a little bit clearer for you. It's very useful to lay out your thinking like this so that you can understand how you're manipulating these bits individually. Sometimes it's helpful to write it out on a piece of paper. That's what I did when I first did this question, but that's how you would tackle this. I hope you found this useful. If you have any more questions about it, please do let me know. Thanks.